Hello everyone, my name is Felicia. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, I wrote my memoir. It is called My Unheard Voice, and it is about my 7 years of childhood sexual abuse. I was abused from the age 5 until I was 12. I wanted to talk a little bit about my adulthood. When I was 25, my life, was in pieces. My life was shattered. I was a mess. Everything in my life was a mess. And I knew that it was because of my trauma that I had not ever resolved. And I knew that my abuser was still out free because I was never able to prosecute him when I was a child. So I drove 8 hours to talk to his wife at the time. I wanted her to know about my abuse. I wanted her to know, that he's not who she thinks he is. And I wanted her, to just be cautious around, her children or grandchildren. I just wanted her to know the truth. So I came and I spoke to her. I'm not going to really go into detail about that because that's not my story to tell. That's that family's story to tell. And I'm, not going to mention any names out of respect for the family. But I did speak to her that day, and I did tell her about my abuse. Afterwards, she gave me the phone number of my abuser if I wanted to call him, for me to call him, which I did. I was upset at the time. I was not, going to be quiet anymore. I was mad at him. I hate him, of course. So I called him, and I told him that I just spoke to his wife and that she knows the truth now, and, that he's nothing but a pedophile. He's nothing, but a loser. And he lied. He had told his wife that I was and these were his words, not mine, because I do not use these words, but he told his wife that I was a retarded little girl that wanted attention. And that was his answer, to the open CPS case that was never closed. So anyway, after she saw me, of course she knew that none of that was true. So I told him that there's no more hiding, that I spoke to his wife, she knows the truth now, and that he wouldn't get away with it. I told him, the next time you hear from me, you will be in prison. So years passed. I never heard, from anybody. I never heard from the wife. I never heard from anybody. And it was about 3 or 4 years later, I heard that he was in prison. He was prosecuted for childhood sexual abuse on, I think it was her grandchildren. So he was sentenced to prison. So I was relieved knowing that he was not able to hurt anybody anymore, because I always felt the guilt for not, pursuing it, not pressing charges against him. And because of that, because of my weakness, other children were hurt. Other children were damaged because of my weakness. So I always felt guilty for that. So when I spoke to him, and I confronted him about my abuse, this was when I was 25. His words were, "I was only trying to show you love. That's all I was trying to do." That was his response. He did not acknowledge that it was wrong. He did not acknowledge, what he did to me. He, in his eyes, he said he was trying to show me love. That just crushed me, because he didn't even acknowledge what he did. So he did serve time in prison. He served 13 years, and he was let out on parole last year. That's when I began my journey in writing my book and telling my story, because he will never be prosecuted for my case, because the statute of limitation is up for me, which is stupid. There should not be a statute of limitation on cases like this. I should have every right to prosecute him, to press charges against him, to put his ass back in prison where he belongs. He does not belong out in the streets. But my hands are tied. The DA won't help me. No one will help me. And that is why I'm doing this, to raise awareness. I do not want him to abuse other children. I don't want other men to be in the same position as him and feel that they got away with it, because it's not right. And, in my abuser's eyes, he thinks that he did get away with abusing me. And I will not let that happen. So I'm trying my best to raise my voice and to raise awareness and to get people to listen to my story, because he cannot get away with hurting me the way he did. He cannot feel like he got away with it. Before he was released from prison, I did write a letter to him in prison, and I told him, I want him to know that he did not get away with it. And I want him to know that he is not ever really going to be free, because I will continue raising awareness and I will continue fighting for this. I will continue, because I can't let him get away with this, and I never will. If you can please like, subscribe, and share my videos, I would really appreciate it. That's the only way awareness can be made. I cannot do it alone. Thank you.